The wind howled like a wild beast across the frozen wasteland. Dr. Maya Rodriguez pulled her thick jacket tighter as she stepped out of the research station. She had been studying ancient ice formations in this remote corner of the Arctic for 3 months now. The loneliness was getting to her, but the work was too important to abandon. That morning started like any other. Maya checked her instruments, recorded temperature readings, and prepared for another day of ice core sampling. But something felt different. Her equipment was picking up strange signals that shouldn't exist in this empty place. Around noon, while she was drilling into a particularly old section of ice, her metal detector went crazy. The beeping became so loud and fast that Maya thought it might be broken. She moved the device around, trying to figure out what was causing the disturbance. The strongest signals were coming from about 50 feet away, buried deep under layers of ancient ice. Maya grabbed her biggest shovel and started digging. The work was exhausting in the freezing cold, but her curiosity drove her forward. After 2 hours of non-stop digging, her shovel hit something that definitely wasn't ice. It made a metallic clang that echoed across the empty landscape. She cleared away more ice and snow, revealing what looked like a piece of metal unlike anything she had ever seen. It was smooth and had a strange blue-green color that seemed to shift and change in the light. Maya's heart started racing. This was definitely not from any aircraft she knew about. Working faster now, she uncovered more of the mysterious object. It was clearly some kind of vehicle, but its design was completely foreign. There were no visible seams or joints anywhere. The entire surface looked like it had been formed from a single piece of metal. Strange symbols were carved into various parts of the hull, symbols that looked nothing like any human language. Maya ran back to her station to get better equipment. She returned with her camera, measurement tools, and a small excavator she used for larger ice samples. As she worked to uncover more of the craft, she realized just how big it was. The thing was at least 30 feet long and maybe 15 feet wide, but the most shocking discovery came when she found what appeared to be a door. It was perfectly smooth and seamless, but there was a small panel next to it with more of those strange symbols. Maya stared at the panel for a long time, afraid to touch it. What if this thing was still active? What if touching the wrong thing caused an explosion? Her scientific training finally overcame her fear. She pressed gently on one of the symbols. Nothing happened. She tried another one. Still nothing. But when she pressed the third symbol, the entire panel lit up with a soft blue glow. Maya jumped back, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it over the wind. The door began to slide open with a soft hissing sound. Warm air flowed out of the opening, creating a cloud of steam in the freezing Arctic air. Maya peered into the darkness inside the craft. Emergency lighting flickered on automatically, revealing a corridor that was definitely not built for humans. Everything inside was too tall, too narrow. The ceiling curved in a way that would be uncomfortable for a person to walk under. But Maya's curiosity was stronger than her fear. She grabbed a flashlight and slowly entered the alien craft. The interior was even stranger than the outside. The walls seemed to pulse with a faint light, and the air felt thick and warm. Maya could hear a steady humming sound coming from deeper inside the craft. She followed the corridor until it opened into a larger room filled with equipment she couldn't begin to understand. But in the center of the room was something that made her stop breathing. It looked like a bed or medical table, and lying on it was a figure that was definitely not human. The being was tall and thin, with pale blue-silver skin that had strange markings running along the arms and face. These markings were glowing, very faintly, pulsing in a slow rhythm like a heartbeat. Maya approached carefully. The being appeared to be female, though she couldn't be certain. She was breathing, but very slowly. Her clothes were made of a material that looked like liquid metal, and they seemed to be generating heat. Maya realized this must be some kind of life support system. As Maya got closer, she noticed that the being's breathing was becoming more irregular. The glowing markings on her skin were getting dimmer. Something was definitely wrong. Maya looked around the room and saw several screens displaying what looked like medical information, though she couldn't read the symbols. One screen was flashing red, which seemed like a universal sign for danger. The temperature readings on various displays were dropping steadily. Maya realized that the craft's heating system must be failing, and this alien woman was slowly freezing to death. Maya knew she had to make a decision quickly. She could run back to her station and report this discovery to the authorities. That would be the safe, logical thing to do. But by the time help arrived, this being would probably be dead. Maya's medical training from her college years kicked in. Every living creature deserved a chance to survive. She looked around the room for anything that might help. Near the alien woman's bed, she found what appeared to be a control panel. Maya began pressing different buttons, hoping to find something that would restore heat to the system. Most of the buttons did nothing, but eventually, she found one that caused the heating system to hum louder for a few minutes before shutting down completely. The alien woman's eyes suddenly opened. They were large and completely silver, with no visible pupils. Maya froze as those strange eyes focused on her. The being tried to sit up but was too weak. She said something in a language that sounded like music and wind chimes, but Maya obviously couldn't understand a word. The alien woman looked around her failing spacecraft and then back at Maya. She seemed to understand that Maya was trying to help her. She pointed to herself and said something that sounded like Zara. Then she pointed at Maya with a questioning expression. "Maya," she said, pointing to herself. "My name is Maya." Zara nodded weakly and tried to stand. She was much taller than Maya, probably close to 7 feet, but she could barely stay upright. The glowing markings on her skin were getting dimmer by the minute. Maya realized that Zara would die if she stayed in this freezing spacecraft much longer. Maya pointed toward the door and then toward herself, trying to communicate that Zara should come with her. Zara seemed to understand. She gathered a few items from around the room, including what looked like a translation device, and followed Maya out of the craft. The journey back to Maya's research station was difficult. Zara was weak and unused to walking in the deep snow. The Arctic wind seemed to hurt her more than it hurt Maya, even though Zara's clothes appeared to be providing some heat. Maya had to stop frequently to let Zara rest. When they finally reached the station, Maya helped Zara inside and immediately turned up the heat as high as it would go. Zara collapsed into the chair closest to the heater, and Maya could see her glowing markings beginning to brighten slightly. Zara picked up the device she had brought from her ship and pressed a few buttons. Suddenly, it began speaking in English, though with a strange mechanical accent. "I thank you for assistance," the device said in Zara's voice. "My ship systems have failed. I am in great danger from your planet's cold temperature." Maya stared at the translation device in amazement. "You can understand me now?" "Yes, though this device is not perfect. I have studied your planet's communications for some time. I know some of your words, but not many. Why are you here? Are there more of your people coming?" Zara's expression grew sad. "I am alone. I was sent away from my home world as punishment. I was supposed to find a new planet to live on, but my ship was damaged. I have been traveling for many months." Maya felt a surge of sympathy for this alien woman. Being exiled from your home world and crash landing on a frozen planet was probably the worst luck imaginable. "What did you do to get exiled?" Maya asked gently. "I refused to fight in a war against innocent people. My leader said I was a traitor to my own species. They gave me a ship and told me never to return." Maya realized that Zara wasn't some kind of invader or threat. She was a refugee who had chosen peace over violence and was now paying the price for her conscience. Maya made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. "You can stay here with me," Maya said. "At least until we figure out how to fix your ship or find you somewhere safer to go." Zara's silver eyes seemed to shine with gratitude. "You would help an alien stranger, even though you know nothing about me?" Maya smiled. "Sometimes helping a stranger is exactly what makes us human. Besides, I've been alone up here for months. I could use the company." As night fell over the Arctic wasteland, Maya and Zara sat together near the heater, sharing a simple meal and trying to learn about each other's worlds. Neither of them knew that this was just the beginning of an adventure that would test everything they believed about friendship, survival, and what it meant to be truly alive. Maya woke up to the sound of her weather alert system going crazy. The machine was beeping loudly and flashing red warnings across its screen. She jumped out of bed and rushed to check the readings. What she saw made her stomach drop. A massive storm was heading their way. Not just any storm, but one of those killer Arctic blizzards that could bury buildings and freeze pipes solid. The wind speeds were already reaching dangerous levels and the temperature was dropping fast. Maya looked over at Zara, who was still sleeping on the couch near the heater. Even with the station's heating system running at full power, Zara needed to stay close to the heat source. Maya had noticed that whenever Zara moved away from the heater, the glowing markings on her skin would start to dim. "Zara, wake up," Maya said, gently shaking her new alien friend. "We have a big problem." Zara opened her silver eyes and immediately noticed the flashing warning lights. She didn't need to understand English to know that flashing red lights meant danger. She sat up quickly, too quickly, and Maya could see that she was still weak from her crash landing. "What is wrong?" Zara asked through her translation device. "There's a huge storm coming. The temperature is going to drop way below what my heating system can handle. We might lose power completely." Maya's words were proven right just minutes later. The lights flickered once, twice, then went out completely. The familiar hum of the heating system stopped, and the station was suddenly filled with an eerie silence. Only the emergency battery lights remained on, casting strange shadows around the room. "This is very bad," Maya muttered, grabbing her flashlight. She went to check the generator outside, but the wind was already too strong for her to open the door safely. Through the window, she could see snow flying horizontally across the landscape. The storm had arrived faster than predicted. Zara stood up and immediately stumbled. Without the heater running, the temperature in the station was dropping quickly. Maya watched in horror as the glowing markings on Zara's skin began to fade rapidly. It was like watching someone's life force slowly drain away. "I am becoming very cold," Zara said, her voice shaking through the translation device. "My people are not made for temperatures like this. If I become too cold, I will enter a sleep state that I may not wake up from." Maya felt panic rising in her chest. She had to do something, but what? The generator was outside in the storm, and even if she could reach it, she didn't know if she could fix it in these conditions. The backup heating system was too small to heat the entire station. She looked around desperately for any solution. There were some battery-powered heaters in the supply closet, but they wouldn't last long enough to get through the storm. The sleeping bags were designed for Arctic conditions, but would they be enough to keep an alien warm when that alien needed much higher temperatures than humans? Zara was getting worse fast. She was shivering uncontrollably now, and her skin was starting to turn a grayish color. The beautiful silver-blue skin that had glowed so softly was becoming dull and lifeless. Maya realized with growing terror that Zara might actually die if they didn't find a solution soon. "What can I do to help you?" Maya asked urgently. "Tell me what you need." Zara was having trouble speaking now. Her words came out in short bursts between shivers. "Need warmth, body heat. Sharing warmth is only way." Maya understood immediately. In survival situations, sharing body heat was sometimes the only way to prevent freezing to death. She had learned about it in her emergency training, but she had never imagined she would need to use that knowledge to save an alien's life. But Maya hesitated for a moment. Sharing body heat meant getting very close to someone she barely knew. Zara was from another world with different biology and customs. What if Maya did something wrong? What if human body heat wasn't enough to help? Zara must have seen the uncertainty in Maya's eyes. Despite her weakening condition, she managed to speak more forcefully through her translator. "Please, I do not wish to die on your frozen world. I have already lost everything else." The desperation in Zara's voice broke through Maya's hesitation. Here was a being who had been cast out from her own people for refusing to fight in an unjust war. She had crash-landed on a hostile planet, and now she was facing death from something as simple as cold weather. Maya couldn't let that happen. "Okay," Maya said firmly. "We'll share body heat, but I need to get us set up properly first." Maya quickly gathered every blanket, sleeping bag, and piece of warm clothing she could find. She dragged them all into the smallest room in the station, her tiny bedroom, because smaller spaces would hold heat better. She layered everything on the bed, creating what she hoped would be a warm enough cocoon. "Zara, you need to get under these covers right now," Maya said. "Your regular clothes might not be warm enough anymore." Zara nodded weakly and began removing her metallic-looking garments. Maya was surprised to see that underneath, Zara's body was actually quite similar to a human's, just taller, and with that unique skin coloring. The glowing markings extended down her arms and across her shoulders like natural tattoos. Maya quickly changed into her warmest thermal clothing and climbed under the covers next to Zara. The alien woman's skin was shockingly cold to the touch, much colder than any human could survive. Maya wrapped her arms around Zara and pulled her close, trying to share as much body heat as possible. At first, it felt incredibly strange. Zara's skin had a different texture than human skin, smoother and slightly luminescent even when cold. Her body temperature was so low that Maya actually felt chilled when they first made contact, but gradually Maya's body heat began to warm the space between them. "Is this helping?" Maya whispered. Zara nodded against Maya's shoulder. "Yes, I can feel warmth returning. The sleep cold was beginning to take me." They lay together in silence for a while, listening to the storm rage outside. The wind sounded like a living thing trying to tear the station apart. Snow was piling up against the windows, and Maya could hear ice forming on the walls. As Zara's body temperature slowly rose, the markings on her skin began to glow softly again. Maya found herself fascinated by the gentle light. It was like having a living constellation lying next to her. "Your markings," Maya said quietly. "Do they show how you're feeling?" "In a way, yes," Zara replied, her voice stronger now that she was warming up. "They show the state of my life energy. When I am healthy and warm, they glow brightly. When I am in danger, they fade. They're beautiful," Maya said honestly. Zara was quiet for a moment. "My people consider them shameful marks. They say the markings make me too different, too emotional. Most of my kind learn to keep them hidden." "That's ridiculous," Maya said. "They're part of who you are. Why would anyone want to hide something so amazing?" "Because being different is dangerous where I come from. Those who stand out are often the first to be punished when those in power need someone to blame." Maya felt a surge of anger on Zara's behalf. It seemed like beings all across the universe had to deal with the same problems of prejudice and fear of differences. The storm continued to howl outside, but inside their small cocoon of blankets, Maya and Zara were finally warm enough to survive. They talked quietly through the long night, sharing stories about their worlds and their lives. Maya learned that Zara came from a planet where the sun never set, where the lowest temperature was still warmer than a hot summer day on Earth. She had been a teacher before the war started, educating young ones about the history of peaceful civilizations throughout the galaxy. Zara learned that Maya had chosen to work in one of Earth's most isolated places because she believed that understanding the past could help build a better future. She had given up a comfortable life in the city to study ancient ice formations that held secrets about Earth's climate history. As dawn approached and the storm finally began to weaken, both women realized that something had changed between them. What had started as a desperate survival situation had become something deeper. They had shared not just body heat, but stories, fears, and hopes. "The storm is ending," Maya observed, listening to the gradually quieting wind. "Yes," Zara agreed, "but I think something new is beginning." Maya smiled in the dim light. She had to agree. When she had woken up that morning, she had been alone in the Arctic with only her research for company. Now she had a friend from another world, and possibly something even more meaningful than friendship. The heating system would need to be repaired, and they would need to figure out what to do about Zara's damaged spacecraft. But those challenges seemed manageable now. They had survived their first crisis together, and Maya had a feeling that whatever came next, they would face it as a team. The next morning brought unexpected quiet after the violent storm. Maya woke up first, still curled up next to Zara under the pile of blankets. Sunlight was streaming through the small bedroom window, and she could hear the gentle drip of melting ice outside. The storm had passed, but it had left behind a world transformed by snow and ice. Maya carefully untangled herself from Zara's arms, trying not to wake her. The alien woman looked peaceful in her sleep, and the markings on her skin were glowing, with a healthy, soft light. Maya felt relieved to see that Zara had made it through the night safely. She slipped out of bed and went to check the heating system. To her surprise, it had automatically restarted when the storm ended. The station was warming up quickly, and Maya could hear the familiar hum of all her equipment coming back online. She made a mental note to thank whoever had designed such reliable backup systems. When Maya returned to the bedroom with 2 cups of hot coffee, Zara was sitting up and looking around with curiosity. Her translation device was in her hand, ready to help them communicate. "Good morning," Maya said, offering one of the cups to Zara. "The storm is over, and the heating is working again." Zara accepted the coffee and sniffed it carefully before taking a small sip. Her eyes widened with surprise, and the markings on her skin flickered brighter for a moment. "This drink is very pleasant," Zara said through her translator. "We have nothing like this on my world." "What do you call it?" "Coffee. It's made from beans that grow on plants. Most humans drink it to wake up in the morning and get energy for the day." Zara took another sip, savoring the taste. "Your planet has many interesting things. I am beginning to understand why some of my people wanted to visit Earth, even if their reasons were not peaceful." Maya sat down on the edge of the bed, curious about this comment. "Your people have been watching Earth?" "For many years, yes. We have been listening to your radio signals and television broadcasts. That is how I learned some of your language before my ship crashed. My people were studying you." There was something in Zara's tone that made Maya nervous. "Studying us for what purpose?" Zara looked down at her coffee cup, clearly uncomfortable. "Some of my people believe that younger civilizations should be guided by older, wiser ones. They think that planets like yours need to be helped to develop properly." "Helped how?" Maya asked, though she was starting to suspect she wouldn't like the answer. "By taking control and making decisions for you. By removing your leaders and replacing them with people who would follow our guidance. By ending your wars and conflicts through force if necessary." Maya felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Arctic cold. "That sounds like conquest, not help." "Yes," Zara said quietly. "That is exactly what I told the High Council when they presented this plan. I said that no civilization has the right to force its will on another, no matter how good their intentions might be. I said that growth and wisdom must come from within, not be imposed from outside. And that's why they exiled you? That is part of it. But the final decision came when they ordered me to lead a military unit to a planet called Kepler 442b. The people there are peaceful farmers who have never harmed anyone. They have no weapons, no armies, no desire for war. But they have resources that my people want." Zara's markings were pulsing now, showing her emotional distress as she continued her story. "I refused the assignment. I told the High Council that I would rather die than attack innocent people for their resources. They said I was a traitor to my own species and a danger to our security. They gave me a choice: lead the attack on Kepler 442b, or be exiled forever with no possibility of return." Maya reached out and gently touched Zara's hand. "You chose exile, rather than hurt innocent people. That was incredibly brave." "Was it brave or was it foolish?" Zara asked, her silver eyes reflecting doubt. "Those farmers on Kepler 442b are still in danger. Someone else will lead the attack now that I'm gone. My refusal probably changed nothing except my own fate." "Maybe it changed everything," Maya said firmly. "Maybe your refusal gave others the courage to speak up too. Maybe you started something that will grow into a movement for peace." Zara looked surprised by this possibility. "I had not considered that. On my world, we are taught to think that individual actions cannot change large systems. On my world, we've learned that individual actions are often the only things that can change large systems." Some of our greatest advances in peace and justice started with one person saying no to something wrong. They spent the morning sharing stories about their respective worlds. Maya told Zara about Earth's long history of conflicts and the slow, difficult progress toward peace. She talked about people who had stood up against injustice, even when it cost them everything, and how their actions had eventually led to positive changes. Zara shared stories about her planet's ancient history, when different nations had fought constant wars until they were finally united under a single government. But she explained that peace through conquest was not the same as true peace through understanding. My people forgot the difference between ending conflict and creating justice, Zara said. They became so focused on preventing war that they decided to control everyone and everything. They think that if they make all the decisions for everyone, there will be no more disagreements or fights. But that's not really peace, Maya observed. That's just a different kind of oppression. Exactly. And when I tried to explain this to the High Council, they said I had been corrupted by studying too many different civilizations. They said that learning about other cultures had made me weak and confused. Maya laughed, but not in a mean way. It's funny how people in power always think that understanding others makes you weak, when really it makes you stronger and wiser. As the day went on, Maya and Zara worked together to assess the damage from the storm and make necessary repairs around the station. Maya was amazed by Zara's knowledge of technology. The alien woman could look at a broken piece of equipment and immediately understand how it worked and what was wrong with it. "How do you know so much about our technology?" Maya asked as Zara expertly fixed a damaged weather sensor. "All technology follows similar principles," Zara explained. "Energy flows, mechanical movements, electronic signals. These things work the same way throughout the universe. The specific materials and designs change, but the underlying science remains constant." Maya watched as Zara used tools from her crashed ship to improve the station's equipment. The repairs Zara made weren't just fixes, they were upgrades that made everything work better and more efficiently. "You're not just a teacher and a soldier," Maya realized. "You're also an engineer. On my world, all citizens are expected to master multiple skills. I was trained in education, engineering, military tactics, and cultural studies. The High Council believed this would make me a better leader for their conquest missions. Instead, it made you understand why conquest was wrong." "Yes. The more I learned about different civilizations, the more I came to appreciate the beauty of diversity. Every species, every culture has something unique to offer. Forcing them all to be the same would be like making all flowers the same color." That afternoon, they hiked out to Zara's crashed ship to see if any more repairs were possible. The storm had buried it even deeper in snow, but Zara's technology was able to clear the ice away easily. Inside the ship, Maya was amazed by the advanced system Zara showed her. There were machines that could analyze the molecular structure of any material, devices that could communicate across vast distances of space, and computers that could translate any language instantly. "This is incredible," Maya breathed, looking at a screen that displayed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. "You have technology that could solve so many of Earth's problems." "Perhaps," Zara said carefully. "But giving advanced technology to a civilization that isn't ready for it can cause more problems than it solves. Your people would need to develop wisdom and cooperation before they could safely use tools this powerful." Maya nodded, understanding the wisdom in Zara's caution. She thought about how humans had used every technological advance, from fire to nuclear energy, as both a tool for progress and a weapon for destruction. "How do you decide when a civilization is ready for advanced technology?" Maya asked. "When they can unite to face common challenges without destroying each other in the process. When they can share resources fairly. When they can resolve conflicts through discussion instead of violence. When they can think about the welfare of future generations, not just their own immediate needs." Maya sighed. "By that measure, Earth still has a lot of growing to do." "All civilizations do," Zara said gently. "Even mine. The difference is whether you're growing toward greater cooperation and understanding, or toward greater control and domination." As they prepared to leave the ship, Maya noticed something concerning. Several of the ship's systems were showing warning lights, and some critical components appeared to be failing. "Zara, is your ship going to be able to fly again?" Zara checked several diagnostic screens before answering. Her expression grew somber as she read the displays. "The damage is more extensive than I initially thought. Some of the critical systems cannot be repaired with the materials available on your planet. Even if I could fix them." 3 weeks had passed since Maya found Zara in the crashed alien ship. Life at the research station had settled into a comfortable routine. Maya continued her ice core research, while Zara helped improve the station's equipment and shared fascinating stories about other worlds she had visited. Everything changed on a Tuesday morning when Maya's communication system started receiving urgent messages from her research headquarters. The automated voice kept repeating the same alert over and over. "Dr. Rodriguez, respond immediately. Military personnel are being dispatched to your location. This is a priority 1 emergency." Maya stared at the communication device in horror. She hadn't reported finding Zara to anyone. In fact, she had deliberately avoided mentioning anything unusual in her weekly status reports. She had told herself it was to protect Zara, but now she realized it might have been a terrible mistake. "What does this mean?" Zara asked, noticing Maya's panicked expression. "I think someone knows you're here," Maya said, her voice shaking. "The military is coming." Zara's skin markings immediately dimmed to a dull glow, showing her fear. "How could they know? We have been so careful." Maya rushed to her computer and began checking her recent communications and data transmissions. What she found made her feel sick to her stomach. The station's automatic systems had been recording and transmitting data about everything, including unusual energy readings from Zara's presence and the alien technology they had been using to repair equipment. The station's been automatically reporting everything to headquarters," Maya said, her hands shaking as she scrolled through the data logs. Power usage spikes, unknown energy signatures, equipment modifications that shouldn't be possible with standard tools. They probably figured out something strange was happening here weeks ago. The sound of helicopter rotors in the distance made them both freeze. Maya looked out the window and saw 3 military helicopters approaching fast across the frozen landscape. "They're here," Maya whispered. "We need to hide you." "No," Zara said firmly, standing up with sudden determination. "I will not put you in danger by hiding like a criminal. I have done nothing wrong and neither have you. Zara, you don't understand. If the military captures you, they'll take you away for testing and questioning. You might never be free again." "Then I will face whatever comes with dignity," Zara replied. "I have already lost my homeworld. I will not lose my honor as well." Maya felt frustrated by Zara's nobility. "This isn't about honor. This is about survival. These people won't understand that you're peaceful. They'll see you as a threat or a valuable resource to be studied." The helicopters landed outside the station, sending clouds of snow swirling through the air. Maya watched through the window as soldiers in heavy Arctic gear began surrounding the building. Their leader, a stern-looking woman with colonel's insignia on her uniform, approached the front door. "Dr. Rodriguez, this is Colonel Lisa Chen of the Arctic Defense Division," the woman called out through a megaphone. "We know you have made contact with an extraterrestrial entity. Please exit the building with your hands visible and the alien in custody." Maya looked at Zara, who was standing calmly near the window, watching the soldiers with curious interest rather than fear. "I'm going to tell them you're not here," Maya decided quickly. "I'll say your ship was empty when I found it and you must have died in the crash." "You cannot lie for me," Zara protested. "These people are your own species. You should not betray them to protect an outsider." "You're not an outsider anymore," Maya said firmly. "You're my friend and friends protect each other." Maya took a deep breath and opened the front door. The Arctic wind immediately hit her face, but she tried to look calm and normal as she stepped outside. "Colonel Chen, I'm Dr. Maya Rodriguez. I'm not sure what you think you found here, but I can assure you there's no living alien at this station." Colonel Chen studied Maya's face carefully. "Our data shows significant anomalies in your power usage and equipment signatures. We've also detected energy patterns consistent with advanced alien technology. Where is the extraterrestrial vessel? I did find a crashed ship about 3 weeks ago, Maya admitted, sticking as close to the truth as possible. But there was no one alive inside it. The occupant had apparently died from the cold before I discovered the wreckage. Show us the crash site, Colonel Chen ordered. Maya led the military team across the frozen landscape to where Zara's ship was buried. The soldiers used portable scanners to examine the vessel, and Maya held her breath as they worked. She hoped they wouldn't find any evidence that someone had been living in the ship recently. The ship's life support systems show recent activity, one of the technicians reported to Colonel Chen. Someone was definitely alive in here within the past few weeks. Maya's heart sank. She had hoped the snow and ice would have covered up any traces of recent habitation. Dr. Rodriguez, Colonel Chen said, turning to face Maya with a stern expression. I'm going to ask you one more time. Where is the alien? I told you there was no survivor, Maya insisted, but she could hear the uncertainty in her own voice. Search the research station, Colonel Chen ordered her team. Look for any evidence of alien presence or technology. Maya watched helplessly as the soldiers marched back toward her station. She knew they would find traces of Zara's presence everywhere. The alien woman had been living there for weeks, using her advanced tools to repair equipment and leaving behind energy signatures that human technology couldn't duplicate. But when the search team reached the station, they found it empty. Maya stared in confusion as the soldiers reported that there was no sign of any alien presence inside the building. That's impossible, Maya muttered under her breath. She knew Zara had been inside just minutes ago. After an hour of thorough searching, Colonel Chen called her team back outside. Dr. Rodriguez, we're going to need you to come with us for a full debriefing at headquarters. This situation requires further investigation. I can't abandon my research station, Maya protested. All my work is here. Your research is secondary to national security, Colonel Chen replied firmly. Pack whatever you need for an extended stay. We'll arrange for another team to maintain your equipment. Maya had no choice but to comply. As she gathered her essential belongings, she wondered what had happened to Zara. Had the alien woman somehow escaped? Was she hiding somewhere in the vast Arctic wilderness? Maya felt terrible about the thought of Zara alone in the freezing cold without proper shelter. The helicopter ride to the military base took 3 hours. Maya spent the entire journey staring out the window at the endless white landscape below, hoping to catch a glimpse of Zara somewhere in the snow. At the base, Maya was taken to a small, windowless interrogation room where Colonel Chen began, asking detailed questions about everything that had happened since she discovered the alien ship. Dr. Rodriguez, we know you're not telling us the complete truth, Colonel Chen said after Maya had repeated her story for the 3rd time. Our instruments detected multiple energy signatures from your station over the past several weeks. These readings are consistent with active alien technology being used regularly. Maybe the crashed ship was still emitting some kind of residual energy, Maya suggested weakly. The energy patterns we detected were consistent with daily use of advanced tools and equipment. Someone was living at your station and using alien technology on a regular basis. Maya realized that lying was pointless. The evidence was too clear and she was a terrible liar anyway. But she also realized that she had a more important concern than her own credibility. Even if there was a survivor from the crash, Maya said, carefully, that being would be a refugee, not a threat. Someone who lost everything and was just trying to survive in a hostile environment. That's not for you to decide, Colonel Chen replied. Any alien contact must be reported immediately to the proper authorities. By concealing this information, you may have compromised national security and violated several federal laws. Or I may have saved the life of someone who needed help. Maya shot back, her fear turning into anger. Since when is showing compassion to a stranded refugee a crime? Colonel Chen looked surprised by Maya's sudden defiance. Dr. Rodriguez, you have no way of knowing this being's true intentions or capabilities. What seems like a harmless refugee could actually be an advanced scout for an invasion force. That's ridiculous, Maya said firmly. If aliens wanted to invade Earth, they wouldn't send a single scout in a damaged ship to crash land in the middle of the Arctic. They would come in large numbers with working technology. You're making assumptions based on human logic, Colonel Chen warned. Alien minds might work completely differently. Maya thought about everything Zara had told her about, her people's plans for conquest and her own refusal to participate in violence against innocent civilizations. She realized that Colonel Chen was partially right. Alien minds might work differently from human ones. But in Zara's case, they seemed to work better, with more compassion and wisdom than many humans showed. The interrogation continued for hours, but Maya refused to provide any information that might help the military track down Zara. She stuck to her story that she had found only an empty ship with a deceased occupant. Finally, Colonel Chen seemed to give up on getting more information from Maya.